What's going on, everyone? This is Nate the Great coming to you live from All Sports All Place Network. This is the Thursday full count. And yes, it is a baseball show, even though Greg and I are wearing Broncos shirts right now. How are you both of you doing?
Doing well, Nate. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing really well. I mean, we got a lot to talk about today, especially with the Cincinnati Reds, with their top 5 pitchers and what's going on with this game in particular, losing the Colorado Rockies 10-0. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. But first things first, we got to start off with our weekly segment. And the weekly segment is a little bit of a warm up. Baseball Jeopardy. So for those of you guys that remember, this will only at the maximum will only be 15 questions. If we get it right, and the question will go off a majority vote, the answer will go off majority vote. Excuse me. Then we get a home run. Mm-hmm. If we get it wrong, it's an out. 3 outs, and then game's over. Mm-hmm. So, question number 1. Question 1. Which is loading right now. Speaking of the Reds, which Reds is the only pitcher in Major League Baseball history to throw 2 consecutive no-hitters? Tom Browning, Johnny Vander Meer, and Homer Bailey. Which one of those 3?
I'm going to say Homer Bailey.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. So,
okay, and that is 1 straight. That's 1 out. Johnny Vander Meer.
Wow. The person that least suspected,
It was the first one I looked at, but like I said, it's off a majority vote.
Yeah.
So which player was not part of the Big Red Machine? Ken Griffey, Barry Larkin, or Tony Perez?
Barry Larkin.
Is that what you're going with as well?
Repeat the question one more time.
So, which player was not part of the legendary Big Red Machine? Ken Griffey, Barry Larkin, and Tony Perez. I think it's
Larkin.
Yeah, I'm going with that as well.
Because I think he came in after that.
That is a home run. So we're up to the 3rd question now. Who has thrown the most shutouts in White Sox history? Ed Walsh, Billy Pierce, or Doc White?
I'm going to say Pierce.
And Doc White.
Ooh. I have my own answer for this, and it's a 3-way split.
Drum roll. Let it roll.
I have an idea. Alexa, pick a number between 1 and 3.
Your random number between 1 and 3 is 2.
All right, so Billy Pierce is the answer chosen. That is Ed Walsh.
Wow.
Yeah, I was right on that one.
Wow.
What was the record for stolen bases in a single postseason? 10, 13, or 11?
11.
Yeah, I said 11.
11?
Yeah, it was an odd number, I think.
Yeah, so that is correct. So we're actually at question 5 now. Who holds the Orioles record for the most home runs in a single season? Chris Davis, Frank Robertson, or Mark Trumbo?
I'm going to say Chris Davis.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say, too.
Okay.
Because I think it was just recent.
And that is it correct. So we're actually now at question 7. Who is the only player to record a 500th career home run in Memorial Stadium? Eddie Murray, Frank Robertson, or Brooks Robertson?
Eddie Murray.
I'm going to say Frank.
Yeah, you know what? I'll go Frank. Watch it be Brooks. No, it's a home run. Correct. That's another home run. So we're actually now at question 8. What member of the 1970 Orioles nicknamed Motormouth? Excuse me. Andy Etchebarren, Etchebarren, Paul Blair, or Jim Palmer?
Jim Palmer.
I think it was old Paul Blair.
I'm gonna go with Jim Palmer as the majority vote. Ooh, that is actually Paul Blair.
Wow.
So, a little bit of a known fun fact is that Paul Blair batted a batting average of 2.67 with 18 homers and 65 RBIs in 1970. Was called the Motor Mouth because he loved to talk on and off the field. I think he even open quote. I think he even tried to talk while he was sleeping. Close quote. Teammate Frank Robinson once said.
Interesting.
Wow. So our score actually right now is 4 runs. So, and we do have a comment. You get him, Ray.
Yeah, that's one of my friends.
So that actually goes to the next topic. First question, we actually talked a little bit about Cincinnati Reds. I said that we are going to be talking top 5 pitchers for the Cincinnati Reds, and I'm just going to say this now: the pitcher that's pitching right now, I'm definitely not going to put him on the list. I'm kidding. That's just for one game. Well, I know it's just for one game, but let's go straight through it. Earlier today, the Toronto Blue Jays beat the Atlanta Braves 8-4.
Yep.
we'll go with Greg. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, the Braves have been playing better baseball as of late, but the Blue Jays, they got a pretty good lineup in there. They got a lot of young talent, so I wouldn't take anything away from how the Braves have been kind of gaining steam. So it was just, one of those games. We've seen some very low scoring and some shutouts, recently too. So it's nice to see kind of an 8-4 ball game, not extremely high scoring, but yeah, it's a pretty decent game. And the Blue Jays, I think they're going to probably end up in I think they're still going to be around third place or so when it's all said and done. I think the Braves still have a chance to pull something off in their division. They just need to get a few more people healthy, and I think they'll be good to go.
Yeah, that's true. I do think that some people do need to get healthy on that team. Now, however, talking about the Braves here, you're in a division that it's tough. It's tough going on, and I think although it's still kind of early, a month has gone by. Ray, you said on a hot take earlier that you don't think the Atlanta Braves are going to win the division this year. Somebody said that. Somebody said that about the Braves. I don't remember who it was.
It was me. I said it. I'll tell you exactly right now. If they don't get no more starting pitchers, they need starting pitchers, need bullpen pitchers. If they don't get those, you can't win every other series. And right now, I think they are pitching 0-6 record against the Toronto Blue Jays right now.
Yeah, I did.
In the season. So, if you can't win games like that, and if you can't take series, and then you get the Phillies and you take one out of the 2 games out of the series, we got to fix everything. So we got to fix everything. You got to look at the starting pitching rotation. You got some good bullpen guys, but you got some terrible bullpen guys too. And if the starting pitcher is getting injured, we already got one gone for the year. We might have another one gone for the year here in the next couple of weeks. We got to fix some bullpens. So,
next game actually is the Phillies. It's taking the same division here. Phillies, they lost to the Nationals today 5-1. Now, Ray, since this is your division, I'll let you be the one to talk about it first.
Talking about the Phillies, we were all laughing, at the Washington Nationals giving up 14 runs and stuff like that in the first month. But the Nationals is a little bit settling down now, and Phillies, I don't understand. I think the Washington Nationals has Phillies numbers for a change here in this thing. But if you look at the standings right now, in that National League. In the National League East, you have the Mets, who's on a 7-game winning streak right now. They're 18-13. They're in first place. They're 4.5 ahead of the Marlins. Philly and Washington is still, Philly's in second place right now in the NFC East, and the Nationals in last place. But the Nationals, we don't know how they're, if they're coming or going. Some series they play great, some series they don't. And right now they're 3-7 in the last 10. So if you look at it, it's a surprise that they actually beat the Phillies and stuff. So it's still early in the season. We still on a month and a half away, but you're starting to see a little bit of teams in the National League East right now pulling away. If the Braves don't keep doing it, right now they're 4 games out of first place. The Phillies are a game and a half. So that's the only close run into the Mets is the Phillies, but then they lose to the Nationals. So, what's going on with Philly in the National Series? So, I think that's – to me, I think the East is going to be a tough division to win. But if the Braves don't get on a hot streak here in the next, week and a half coming out of June, going into the All-Star break, then you might see the Mets just start pulling away from, the NFC East.
So, we'll go with Greg on next. What are your thoughts on this?
On On the AL East division, or
No, about the game, about the Phillies game earlier today. Phillies they lost 5-1 to the Washington Nationals. So, what are your takes on this game?
well, I think it's nice to see the Nationals pick up a win. They've been kind of hit with some hard times. I know that they've got some decent pitching on paper. You know, they still have Strasburg, Scherzer in there, Corbin in there. You know, they do have a pretty decent pitching staff. One of the better ones in the business. But their level of play overall, um, you know, at the plate and stuff just hasn't matched up. So it was nice to see them get a win. They haven't been playing the greatest. I think that they're probably going to be right down there at the bottom of their division, just because they're not getting that great of play from their position players. But you know, it's still early. I know that we're halfway through May, and time keeps marching on. It's still early for the Nationals. I think that Joe Girardi overall is doing a pretty good job with the Phillies. I know that we have some Phillies fans that work for the network and follow the network, so they got to be excited about what's going on in Philly. But it was nice to see the Nationals pick up a big win today. They kind of needed that. That AL East or NL East division is going to be extremely tough. I think it's going to be tight. The Mets and the Phillies and the Braves, if they can get it together, that's going to be a pretty good three-way race coming down when it's all said and done. But yeah, I think that it was a pretty good showing today by the Nationals, and showing that they might have some signs of life going on. So I think it was overall a pretty good performance for them.
Yeah. I'm gonna go on and talk about this next one. Detroit Tigers, they beat the Kansas City Royals. I'm gonna still pick on him for exactly what John Suggs out there in the comment section said, because this is now 13-24, and John Suggs, a couple of episodes back, said that the Detroit Tigers are not going to even get 20 wins. I'm still going to pick on him for that. 7 games away, and then you still have a lot more time left. So, but anyway, Greg, you know, what is your take on this Detroit Tigers win today over the Royals? You know, as the Royals, you know, what should the Royals start doing, because they were best in the conference.
I don't really know if the Royals need to really do a whole lot. You know, they could mess around a little bit, tinker around with their batting lineup a little bit, maybe move a couple people up a few spots, maybe move a couple people down, and try to see, you know, if they can get some better run production. Maybe moving somebody towards the top of the lineup. But you know, they've got young pitching. Kansas City was one of those teams that we've talked about before that we thought that was going to be playing a lot better than, you know, a lot of people in the sports field thought that they were. You know, I think a lot of people had them kind of down in last place, you know, before the season started and everything. But they've got some very young top prospects with Witt coming up. You know, he's wanting to play shortstop or second base. He's got a lot of pop. They picked up Benintendi. He's been playing pretty decent. He was a good pickup, getting kind of a new lease on life out there after kind of a dismal season last year with the Red Sox. So I don't know what all you would do, because they got some good pitching. They got some very young starters, you know, right out of college, you know, and coming up through the big. So I think that they just need to kind of just be patient. They're gonna take some knocks, but I think they're definitely one of the teams that's exciting to watch. They're an up and coming team, because, you know, when they won their World Series several years ago, they kind of dismantled the team. They got rid of some key pieces. They lost some great pitching and everything, and it's like they had a really good team for a couple of years, and then they almost tore it down. But at least it's starting to build itself back up. So I think that I just keep the players in there that are doing pretty good. Maybe make a few matchup decisions and maybe move a couple batting spots around. But I think that's about all I would do. Um, from a management standpoint.
Yeah, I totally get that. What what are your thoughts? Anything else that you've got to add on, Ray?
Well, if you look at this Kansas City and Detroit game, if you look at right now in the last 10 games between the Kansas City Royals and the Detroit Tigers have played, Detroit Tigers have 5-5. They're playing at 500 ball at 5-5 the last 10. Kansas City has now lost 11 straight. They're 0-10 in the last 10 games. So they're now starting to tail off back to where people thought they could be in the middle tier of that of the AFC, the American League Central Division. So, they're telling back off a little bit here. So we're now seeing what the Kansas City Royals are made of right now. But if you look at today's game here, their starting pitcher went 2 innings, but this year he has an ERA of 15.75. You're not going to win any baseball games with an ERA of 15.75, and out of 2 starts that he had. He only pitched 2 2/3 inning, gave up 7 hits, 3 runs, and 4 strikeouts. I mean, and then you got your bullpen to come in. They pitched 3 guys total. Kansas City did in this game, but then again you look at Detroit. Detroit played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They played 6 pitchers in this win, so they had to play more pitchers than Kansas City did to get the win. But the key, you look at these stats here, is that Alexander and Cesario comes in, and Lane, they all come in. These are their big bullpen guys who got 6.35 ERA, a 5.29 ERA, and a 6.14 ERA. They did not give up any runs in this game. So you figured that Detroit, with those ERAs, will give up a lot more runs than they did. But the guys with the least ERAs gave up the most runs in this game against Kansas City. So if you look at the pitching here, Detroit's pitching is starting to come around a little bit here. So they were 5-5 in the last 10 games, and Kansas City is now coming in to 0-11. They're on an 11-game losing streak. So you got Detroit starting to move up a little bit. You got Kansas City moving down.
Yeah. Honestly, I think this is where we're really starting to get with when people were talking about, hey, first couple of weeks you're going to see some of the teams that you don't expect to do well throughout the season do better than what people expect throughout the first couple of weeks, and then slowly die down. I think this might be it for the Royals. Now they might, come back up and go on a streak. I don't know, but I think this might be it. I think this is what people were talking about. The Royals being one of those teams. Now to move on to the next game. The Pirates, they lost today to the Giants, 3-1. This was nothing really new. I mean, Pirates. Giants, however, I think they are on a no, they're on a 3-game winning streak. When they swept my Rangers, who are in score update, they're actually in extra innings 3-3, and we're undefeated in extra innings. But I just had to throw that out there. They swept my Rangers a couple of games ago. How long do you think it's going to be until the streak ends for the Giants? Ray?
For the Giants, Right now they're sitting at what 3 games? Well, they say 2 games on here. They're 6-4 in the last 10. But if you look at
yeah.
But if you look at the last 10, then if they got 3 games, then they're 7-3 in the last 10 games. Then, so if you look at their division, San Diego's 5-5 in the last 10 games. Dodgers, who's supposed to be leading the division, they're 4-6 in the last 10 games, but they're on a 2-game winning streak. Then you got Arizona, who's 3-7. You got Colorado Rockies, who's 3-7 in the last 10 games. Colorado's on a 1-game winning streak, and Arizona's on a 1-game losing streak. So if you look at that, to me, we all picked San Francisco probably being the 3rd best team in that West right now. They're the best team in the West right now because they're playing great ball. They're playing, pitching is good. So I think the streak could last a little bit longer than what people have tended to look at. I don't know. I'm trying to find out who they got coming up in the next few games here. I think they're going to. I think they'll sweep. I think they'll finish out this series. Winning against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's. We expect them to be in the last of that National League Central Division, which they're now in last place. So that's starting to come into tuition with Pittsburgh. So with San Francisco finishing out this, I think it could go at least 2, maybe 3 more games, and then they'll probably end up losing. I think it's when they go up against the Dodgers again, I think it's probably when they're going to end up losing.
So I think they might pick up 1 loss against Cincinnati. I think that they're – I'm going to go 1 loss against Cincinnati. We're through that season. I don't know yet. But Greg, what are your thoughts on this for the Giants? They do have a pretty easy schedule. It's weird they're called Dodgers, an easy team to go against, but for them, it probably is.
Well, we've seen your Giants, Nate. They've been. That's one of the teams I think you like, right?
No. I play baseball and I play on a team called the Giants, but I'm not a Giants fan.
Okay, well, I'm not going to give them a shout out on your behalf then. I didn't know if you were a fan or if that was something else, okay? But yeah, in all seriousness here, the Giants have catapulted into a top 5 team in the league, and it's kind of amazing to see how they've done it, because on paper they were supposed to finish 3rd or 4th maybe in their division. They're maybe going to be slightly ahead of the D-backs when it was predicted between 3rd and 4th place in their division. So they're sitting at the top. They're playing really hot baseball. Right now they're kind of picking on the Pirates, but I think a lot of people are picking on the Pirates unless you're the Rockies or the Tigers. I think that everybody's going to pretty much pick on those guys this year. So, so I think that to kind of predict the game, I don't think they're going to go on a run quite like the A's, and win like 12 or 13 games in a row or anything like the A's did a few weeks ago and had that hot run and made a run towards the top of their division with all those straight victories. So I'd say that the Giants will probably cool down at least for a game or so. Probably, I think they'll put about 6 or 7 games together, and then they'll probably get an L hung on them a little bit. But they're playing fantastic baseball right now. But I don't see them going on a 10 to 12 game winning streak. I think that it'll be somewhere more around the 6 or 7 game mark.
I totally agree with that. Next up is to talk about. As I back up for a little bit on the. Okay, there. So the Boston Red Sox are currently 8. They won today 8-1 over against the Athletics. Now Athletics are currently sitting. I think they're they're still first. They're first. They're playing. I think still playing a tough division. You're talking about. The 2 teams that are doing the best in that division right now are are the Athletics and the Rangers. And there's only 6 games separating between Athletics and Angels, so they still play in a tough division. They went up against the Red Sox, lost 8-1 today. What are your thoughts, particularly in that game? Greg, we'll go with you first.
Well, I'll tell you what a difference a year makes. I mean, just last season, the Red Sox pretty much looked like a team that was just about ready to blow everything up. They didn't necessarily have poor management, but it seems like them getting Alex Cora back after he had to sit out, a year with a suspension, he's kind of revitalized new life into this lineup. And I don't know if it's his connection to the team or else, he's still youthful and he can kind of be more of a player's coach. I don't know what it is, but it seems to me that they're clicking under Alex Cora. And we've talked about this before, that the Red Sox were going to be pretty tough, at least for the first 5 hitters in the lineup, because they do have some pretty good pop, at least through the first 5 hitters of their order. And the biggest thing about the Red Sox that we thought was going to be a problem was going to be the pitching, because Chris Sale is out. They've had some pitching issues with Eovaldi, not being healthy all the time and everything. So they've had a lot of concerns there, but they've seemed to find their way, and they're finding ways to win. So it was a big win today because the A's, they're going to be in playoff contention. But no one really had the Red Sox up on their list as playoff contenders. And, here they are sitting at the top of their division, one of the top teams in baseball right now. I think that they were probably expected by a lot of baseball writers to be kind of like 3rd or 4th place in there, just ahead of the Orioles maybe in this division. And they're ahead of everybody right now. So it was a big win. They got some big hits. JD Martinez is coming through big time. He had a terrible 2020 season, and then he just got after it, and he had a very heavy off season. Got back to the fundamentals and everything, and he's hitting the baseball lights out. So he put a lot of time in the weight room and everything, wanted to get back on track and be the JD Martinez of old. And they're just getting a lot of excellent play from a lot of players that aren't really your brand name players, but they got a lot of fight in them. They got a lot of spunk, and it was a big win. I'm not a huge Red Sox fan, but I like seeing how they go out and hustle and grind every day. It's nice to see, and I think that Alex Cora has a lot to do with that.
The Boston Red Sox, they completely surprised me for sure. I did not expect them to do this well, and I get it. It's still early, but Alex Cora has been has been like that missing piece to the puzzle for this Boston Red Sox team. Ray, we'll go with you on this next. What are your thoughts particularly on this game, and where do you see this series coming from here?
Well, if you look at it, Boston right now is 23-16, and we will, like we always said, when you don't have your skipper there, your team is not going to perform as well as now their skipper's back, but he knows his players pretty well. He knows the rotation, and he's making all the right moves at the right time. I mean, if you look at it, when the season started, they got blasted by the Orioles. Since then, they've been hanging their own, and they've been playing good. They are, 7 games over 500. They're in first place in their division. We thought the Yankees were going to be in first place. But, I mean, we're only in a month and a half now of the season. So, I mean, if you look at where we're looking at right now with the Boston Red Sox, I think, Alex Cora was the missing link of this team. They are now playing for him, which I thought last year they had added motivation because the skipper wasn't there. But, they weren't making the right moves and they weren't playing up to their potential. Now, since Cora come back, they're playing their potential. This series right here, I think the Boston's going to take 2 out of 3 against the Athletics.
Before we move on to this next game, just give a score update. It's still 3-3, and it's at the end of the 10th inning. I know we talked about this before, but the extra inning rule it sucks. So the next game is actually hold on. So the next game is actually the Yankees and the Rays. Rays ended up winning this one 9-1. Now I know you talked about it. Everybody was saying that the Yankees were going to win the division. I didn't think so. I mean, I didn't think it was the Red Sox. I'll say that, but I didn't think it was going to be the Yankees. I didn't think it was going to be the Rays. I thought it was going to be Toronto. I thought that Toronto was going to take that division this year. And so far, I get it that it's only been a month, but it's still been a good chunk of time. And so far, Red Sox have been proving me wrong. Now to talk Yankees for a little bit. The New York Yankees, now they might have been changing things around lately, but they still have not had a great. They have not been a fire hitting team, firepower team. They're not a team that's great on offense. I saw a stat that until the Cleveland Indians game that was played a while back. About it was until it was played about 2 or 3 weeks ago. The New York Yankees have not hit more than 3 runs in one inning. That just proves that the Yankees have not been great offensively speaking. What if you were the coach of the Yankees? What would you do to build that skill up? We'll go Greg.
You going me? Well,
Greg.
Greg.
Well, when you look at the Yankees on paper, you think that they'd be scoring a ton of runs. I mean, you got Stanton in there, you got Judge in there, you got Gleyber Torres in there. Right now, Voit is hurt. You got Hicks in there, that can all smash the ball. Sanchez, when he's in there, or maybe when he's DHing, he can hit the ball. They've had some issues that they're starting to sort out. So from a coaching standpoint, I don't know exactly what I would do. You go back to how Whitey Herzog maybe tried to play. He tried to mix in a little bit of speed, find some speed guys, maybe get some guys on the bases, try to steal some bags. I try to get runs in that way. When you're not that effective at the plate with your power, sometimes it's good to maybe get some speed guys in there, maybe see if you can steal a bag or do some hit and runs and everything. That was pretty exciting kind of play back when my Cardinals, back in the 80s, under Whitey Herzog. But, yeah, they've got a lot of power in their lineup, but they're just not hitting the ball well. They've had some injuries. I think they're taking care of the issue right now with Sanchez. I think they're pretty much ready to move on from him, at least at the catcher position. I think that they're pretty comfortable right now behind the plate, going with Hayagashi. I think that he's a lot better defender. He might not be as potent, with the bat as far as home runs and everything as Sanchez, but he does give them a lot better defensive prospect behind the plate. So I think that they've kind of got that position kind of set up now. So now it's a matter of what do you do with Sanchez? Do you let him DH? Do you let him play catcher every fourth game or something. But yeah, the Yankees, they're not playing bad. I still have them kind of as a top 10 team right now because they have won 8 out of their last 10 games. But yeah, they just haven't put up the offensive numbers. I know from a coaching standpoint too, you got to get to a point where this whole trying to just get your pitcher through 5 innings and then using your bullpen the rest of the way, this is getting pretty old, and the Yankees aren't the only team that try to go do this. I know that they get a lot of innings out of Garrett Cole, and maybe a couple other people, but Kluber's not really coming through for him from a pitching standpoint. They're just not getting a whole lot of great deep pitching other than Cole right now. Chapman's still solid as a closer, but yeah, I think overall things are starting to click a little bit for the Yankees. But I wouldn't really go and start mixing up the lineups and changing the order or anything. But I would do pretty much what they're doing right now, which is pretty much let Sanchez know that they're going in a different direction because his defensive skills are a lot weaker, than what's needed at the position, especially for a top-tier team as the Yankees. And maybe get some of those power guys a day off or so and put in some more speedy guys out there that can, at least if they're on, can steal a bag or two, get you maybe a quick run or something, because it's, they have a hard time putting up runs sometimes for some reason.
Now, Ray, do you have anything to add to that question?
Yeah, if you look at the Yankees, you look at them, you talk about stealing bases. They only have 7 stolen bases all season long as a team. That's unacceptable right now. You see at least 10 or 15 steals, right now. They only got 7, so they're not playing the on-base percentage of stealing and taking chances or being aggressive, as I call it. Now they have 320 as a team strikeouts. Your main strikeout person is Judd and Stanton. Stanton with 40, Judge with 39. But you still had Torres with 28. You had Urshela with 27, Hicks with 30, Frazier with 28. So they're not got an eye for the ball and the balls and strike because they only walked 158 times. So that right there is a tremendous ratio of strikeouts to walks. So they're not really being, conservative at the bat. They're going up and trying to tee off home runs and stuff because that's what it looks like with the strikeouts at 320. So, and then go back to your catcher with Sanchez, Hotchka, or however you pronounce the dude's name, he's got 5 home runs. Sanchez has only got 4. So, they're still battling right now. And Sanchez has got 10. He scored 10 runs, and he scored 10 times. The other catcher scored 8. Both of them Sanchez got 15 hits, Hotchka's got 10. So to me, that's not a disparity with the catcher. So you can put Hotchka in the starting position. You ain't losing really nothing in the offensive side right now if you're looking at today's game. But you're gaining stuff on the defensive side that can help with the pitchers. So Sanchez is not calling a good game. Sometimes, some games, if you watch the Yankees, Sanchez is not calling a good game, how to get the ratio of the pitchers on balls and strikes. So that's another key thing here, too. As you done played, you only scored 142 runs, all season long, total. And you got 259 hits, 42 doubles, 48 home runs, and you got no triples. So and then you got 133 RBIs. So and they only have total bases, they only have 445. So this is not the Yankees team that you think on paper as a power team. They're not got power numbers. They're more strikeouts, more things. But as Greg said, they are getting some stuff worked out. But they need to find a little bit more speed guys to draw up some base and get aggressive on the base. They're not aggressive on the base, and that's taken away from their game. And then their defense is hurting at the catcher when you put Sanchez in because other teams are stealing on them. So they're taking themselves out of double play threat. So if you look at the Yankees on paper, yeah, they should be leading their division. But when you don't win games on paper, you win games on the field, and they're not producing.
Yeah. Now, talking about the game that I actually gave a quick scoring update, they are still it's mid 11th inning. Right now the score is 3-3. Rangers and Astros are tied. Who do you think is going to pull out this inning? Pull out with the win.
So they just started the bottom of the 11th. They got a guy on second base. Houston does.
Houston has a guy on second base, so it's just now starting. Yeah, bottom of 11th.
Yeah, there's no out, so I don't know. I mean, if you can't score, you already done one inning with a guy at second base. Now you're going to the second inning with a guy at second base. So, I mean, and you got one out now because Castillo just sacrificed the third to draw. So it's one down, but they got two on though. They got one on third and one on second now. So we're one out. So if you look at it right now, Houston's in a good shape to win this game, but can the Rangers strike them out of the side or get some good things? So now they're gonna flip it. Now it's run on third and one on first. So we're one out. So to me, the Rangers has a good shot. Can the Rangers strike them out or get them out? Or try to get a double play to get out of the inning? That's going to be the question. So right now, Houston's got a good start.
Now, Greg, who do you think is going to win this one?
Nate, I'm going to throw you a bone here. I'm going to say that your Rangers, okay? It's going to pull off something. They're going to get a big double play. I think they're going to get a ground out here pretty soon, and then they're going to go back and they're going to finish this thing off. So, since I thought that you were a Giants fan, I'm throwing your Rangers a bone tonight.
No, I'm not a Giants fan. I just play for a league here in the DFW area called the Giant. I play for the Giants there, which I'll address something. Final thoughts. I'll address something about my team in just a second. But when it comes to Major League Baseball, though, it's going to be cutting it close. It's going to be cutting it close, and I do have one wish for this game. And no, I'm not going to be staying up late if this happens, but I want this game to go until like the 15th, 16th inning, just to show Rob Manfred a point. Rob Manfred the point that this guy on second rule, it really does not do anything. Like, it's supposed to make games faster, and in some sense it kind of does, but it doesn't really do it in every game.
No, especially when one team starts out with a runner at second and you can get that run across, and then the other team starts with a runner on second, gets a run across, then you're going back to extra innings. So if you've got some good bench players and people that can come in and get some big hits and get that RBI, because you're looking at a potential RBI every time you're putting that automatic runner on
Yeah.
second. So, yeah, it could keep going if you have a team that's really good at hitting in clutch situations. So, but I don't know. I really don't know I know you want to get through to Rob Manfred, but I don't think a 15, 16 inning game is going to get through to him because there's a lot of other things that are way over his head, apparently.
Okay, what about a 22nd inning game? Which has only happened like once, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only happened like once. Let's move on. Let's move on and talk a little bit about the Rockies and Reds, which Reds finally put numbers on the board.
Finally.
As soon as I say that, it's now 10-5. They cut the lead, 10-0 lead, in half. I would be upset if the Colorado Rockies ended up losing this one. But it's baseball. Anything can happen. Do you think Colorado's going to lose this one?
I don't think they're going to lose this one. I know that it's cut in half. It was, 10-0, and now the Reds have come back. But the Reds have been such an inconsistent team all year. Like we talked about a little bit last week about how one game they could put up 12 runs, the next game they put up 1 run. So it's just kind of depends on what's going out there, because they can be a really high scoring team or they can be a team that can hardly get anything together. And it's just kind of it's tough if you're a Cincinnati fan, because you don't know, if you're tuning into the game or going in, if you're going to see a high scoring game, if you're going to see dismal pitching. It's a very inconsistent team, but they do have some pretty good players to watch, though. But to answer your question, I think that the Rockies are going to find a way to hold on to this game, at least for tonight.
Ray?
I agree with Greg, but if you look at it, Cincinnati they got 8 runs in the 8th inning to cut this lead to 2. So, I mean, you only got 4 more outs to get for the Rangers, for the Colorado Rockies to win this game here. So, I mean, can they pull it out? Certainly Colorado can pull it out. I mean, they're a major league professional team. But then again, can Cincinnati keep that momentum going from the 8th inning to the 9th inning? Or if Colorado's going to come back and get some more runs in that bottom, they need to pad some more runs. I think 2 more runs will give them the clear victory. If they keep it a tight game, it's going to put a lot more pressure on the Rockies bullpen and their closer to come in and close this game out. So, I mean, it all depends on the mentality of Colorado when they come into the bottom of the 8th. They can get some insurance runs and to pad their lead a little bit, so they take a little bit more pressure off of them and their closer. Or if their closer have to come in with a pressure situation. But that's why he gets paid the money to close games out. So he should come in and close this game out. But then again, we don't know what's going to go on. But I think Colorado will hold on them for victory.
I think Colorado might score. I think Colorado might score on this. Okay, I'm gonna go 11-10. Rockies win. So to move on, talk about 2 more games, and then we'll talk about the top 5 segments. The Miami Marlins, they're beating the Arizona Diamondbacks 5-1, bottom of the 7th. Do you think Miami's going to win this one, or do you think the Diamondbacks are going to pull the Cincinnati Reds?
I think the Marlins are going to hold on to this game.
I think Marlins are a better team.
Yeah, I do too.
And they do one thing about the Marlins, as we've seen from last season, in the shortened season, is that they do have some really good young pitching from the top down. So I think that they've got enough arms to hold on to this game and the bullpen. I think that they've got what it takes, at least from a pitching standpoint, to hold on to victory.
So the next game after that, Cleveland Indians, they're on the lead right now, 4-0. Do you think that? I do think Seattle's going to score some late runs, but I think the Indians are going to end up pulling the victory 4-3. What are your prediction on that, Ray?
Well, if you look at the score right now, bottom of the 7th, Seattle has no hits. if the score thing is right on ESPN. They have no hits yet
Ooh,
in the bottom of the 7th. This is like a no hitter going right now.
wow. Okay,
Indian,
I
Indian,
still want it.
Indians has already got 5 hits and got 4 runs off their 5 hits. You know, if you look at that, if you look at the score and they got no hits, man, they've been to bat. This team has been to bat 17 times. The Mariners have in this ball game, 17 times, and Cleveland Indians already been to bat 27 times in this game and got 4 runs, 5 hits. So now they just updated here. They have now been 18 at bats for the Mariners, no hits yet. So you talking about late inning runs? They better get cracking because this game is sure is going to be a shutout and probably might be a no hitter.
So I want to backtrack a little bit. Different show, Heard of the Huddle. Somebody brought up a bold take about this Cleveland Indians team. He said that the Cleveland Indians will be no hit twice this month and will have 2 no hitters. Can you see that?
The no hitter, I can see the no hitter going right now, but I mean, I don't know if they're going to do what that prediction is. That's kind of hard. That'd be kind of hard prediction.
Well, if it happens, then I don't know if the Cleveland Indians were no hit twice. I think they were, but I don't remember.
Well, if they are, and this guy gets prediction, you might get him on the horn and go get you some lottery tickets for them. Have them pick the numbers.
Because I think that the Cleveland Indians had 1 no hit, was no hitted against, and then I think they have one. If they have this, then that's half of the games that they're talking about. That's a pretty good bold statement that was made on that show. Now, that's actually the last game of the night. I'll give you a score update. Houston ended up pulling the victory. They scored bottom of the 11th, 4-3. That's the final for the Astros. To go on to the next topic, I was going to put the Rangers on the top 5 list of the last 10 games, but I'm not going to now. You know what? So next topic is actually top 5 list last 10 games. You know, how would you rank them?
I'll go. I'll do it. I'll go first. I take the Mets number 1 because they won 7 games straight. My number 2 will be Chicago White Sox. They won 6 games straight. And then if you want to, you can put Detroit in there because they're on a 4-game winning streak. I mean, then you got that's my number 3. And then I put the Cleveland Indians at my number 4 because they're on a 3-game winning streak. And then Toronto Blue Jays are on a 3-game winning streak. I put them at number 5. That's my top 5.
I mean, there's 3 teams out there that are 8-2. Putting them in order, I'm actually gonna go White Sox, Mets, and then Indians. Then my number 4 will be the Phillies. Number 5 will be the Cardinals. There's a lot of teams that are doing really. They're having a strong start this week. So, Ray, what about you?
I've got the Mets, and probably in the first position. They're playing pretty good. They're 7-3, I think, over their last 10. Like Ray said, they've won 7 in a row over the last week or so. Then I got the White Sox. Then I got Cleveland, and then I've got my Cardinals, and then I've got the Philadelphia Phillies.
Greg, you and I actually have the same top 5 except different order.
Yeah, did you have the Phillies too?
I did. I swapped your Cardinals and the Phillies.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. So we have the same top 5. I thought about putting Oakland in there, but we've been talking a lot about Oakland for the last couple weeks with their massive winning streak and everything else. So I decided to throw the Phillies a bone, and they deserve it. They've been playing pretty good as of late, even though they lost today.
Yeah, we also swapped. We also have 1 and 2 swapped.
Yeah.
Indians number 3 though. That was the same.
I mean, we could have put the Yankees in there, but we've been bashing them all night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, y'all want to know how the Astros won this game?
What?
They made a wild pitch. Texas Rangers did a wild pitch, and the dude took home.
Really?
Yeah, that's how they were bases loaded, and dude threw a wild pitch. Martin threw a wild pitch, hit the catcher's chest, and went up third base
Oh
line.
my
And
god.
the guy slid in on the tag. That's how they won it.
Why would you throw a wild pitch while the base on my okay.
He went with a splitter. It bounced off the catcher's, it bounced the ground, hit the catcher's chest, and went up the third base line.
That's anyway, let's move on. So the last topic of the night. What we've done pitchers, top 5 list for pitchers. We finished the NL East. Now we're covering the NL Central. We have one more team left, and that is the Reds. So that being said, Ray, who are your top 5 Cincinnati Reds pitchers of all time?
Well, I'll go with number 1. Mine is what a name, Bucky Walters. Walker was another refuge from the Phillies who came to the Reds during the time when there was much bigger disparity of fortunes between the two franchises. Walter escaped the bankrupt-bound Phillies, found a Cincinnati team on the rise towards the complete success. He pitched from 1938 to 1948. Walters arrived on the major league scene as a Boston infielder, but pulling the Braves and Red Sox with these little success. Then he came with the Reds. Walters became an instant star in 1939. In his first full season in Cincinnati, Walters led the National League in just about everything. He compared 31 out of his 39 starts, posting a 27-11 record, 2.29 ERA, and 319 innings. He was the National League MVP, and he lifted the Reds to their first National League pennant in 20 years. That was my number 1. My number two will be Pete Donahue. He pitched from 1921 to 1930. He was a right-hander for the Athens, Texas. Enjoyed a relatively short career, but intended sweet tenure with the Reds, breaking out in 1922 at the age of 21 with an 18-9 record, ERA 3.12 ERA. Then follow up by winning 20-plus games 3 times over the next 4 years, including a league-high 20 in 1926. Donahue had an implement drop-off after his crashing in 1927. Then I'll go with my number 3 guy will be Epa Rixey. He pitched in 1921 to 1933. He's a Virginia native, was a rare case of a pitcher who earned runs average, actually improved once the dead ball era came on. And then calling Philly Baker Bowl at his home before 1920 may have had something to do with it. Rixey's fortune turned, spending the rest of his career in Cincinnati with a seldom and off-year losing record or post-game tender, and that earned him a notorious reputation as a clubhouse destroyer back in Philly. Unlike most ball players of the time, Rixey came from a family of money choosing baseball. And so that was my number 3. My number 4 would be Noodles Hahn in 1899, 1905. Cincinnati team that collectively could only total 30 more. It was the highest percentage of teams' total victories occurred by one player until Steve Carlton got credit for 27 of Philly's 59 wins in 1972. Wisely hand, Cincinnati was overused of his arms well before it went corrupt, and he used his spare time training, becoming a veterinarian and a post baseball occupation. So, I mean, they used him big time. They wore his arm out. That was my number 4. And then my number 5 would be uh, Jose Rio from 1988, 1995, 2001, 2002. He was a fastball artist who claimed Jordan Michael as an uncle is fondly remembered in the Reds for his stellar pitching during the 1990 World Series that earned him MVP honors against the team that traded him to the Reds, the Oakland Athletics. A top baseball prospect in 1984, Rio was forced onto the baseball scene at the age of 18 by George Steinbrenner and the New York Yankees, hoping that he will be an instant hit. And still, he was a teenage pitching sensation, Dwight Gooden. Rio couldn't respond to a heavy burden and was moved to the A's, where he struggled for another 3 years. Dealt to the Reds, Rio finally found his groove, producing winning records and a sub 3.00 ERA over the first 6 years in Cincinnati. After scumming his elbow problems in 1995, he retired and then made a 2-year comeback with the Reds in 2001-02 with mixed results. So that's my top 5.
All right. Greg, what are your top 5 Cincinnati Reds pitchers, and I'll go with mine.
Well, I had pretty much the same list as Ray. I didn't have Jose Rio on there as much as I wanted to. I had Paul Derringer in there in place of Rio. I really wanted to add maybe some of the nasty boys, Randy Myers, Rob Dibble, Norm Carlton. They did an excellent job. Their numbers didn't quite match up to these guys from the way back era. So my order was a little bit different, but yeah, most of the same names that Ray had. You can't go wrong with a name like Noodles Hahn. Okay. And Ray hit on him, how he left baseball, right before his arm was starting to go out, and learned veterinary medicine and everything. But he threw his first no-hitter in his rookie season. So, and then he had 41 complete games and 239 strikeouts. And like Ray was talking about, he won 22 games out of his team's 52 wins, which was the highest percentage until Steve Carlton won 27 games out of 52 team wins with the Phillies. So that was quite the accomplishment to have almost half your team wins there. And then I had Paul Derringer in the 4 spot. He played from 1933 to 1942. He had 20 wins in 1935. Then he went on to have 3 more seasons of 20 wins in a row. And then I think in 1940 he had a complete game 2-1 victory in the World Series over the Detroit Tigers. So I had him in the 4 hole because he was a big time pitcher in that 1940 World Series. And then number 3, Ray's already talked about him, Pete Donahue. He won 20 games for 4 years in a row. I think he went 18-9 in 1922, and he was a pretty solid pitcher. And then I rounded out the last 2 with Bucky Walters and Eppa Rixby. And Eppa Rixby, I just had him in the top position because he averaged 20 wins his first 5 seasons with the Reds. So he won 100 games in his first 5 seasons, and he was also a National League wins leader while he was with the Reds. And he finished his career overall with 266 wins. And so, nothing against Bucky Walters, but I had Eppa Rixby just a little bit ahead of him. So that's my top 5.
So for me, my list was very similar. I had my number 5 hole. I had the he pitched from 1918 to 1929. Dolph Luque. He finished leading the majors, 27 wins, 1.93 ERA. Number 4, I had Paul Dieringer, that pitched from 1933 to 1942. Number 3, I had Pete Donahue. Number 2, I had Bucky Walters. And number 1, I had Epa Rixey. But like last week, none of these pitchers on my top 5 are pitchers that have pitched, from 50s on, 50, 60, 70s on. All these are way back. Yeah. So that we got through all the topics. Greg, we'll go with you first. Any final comments before we get this close?
Well, I tried to throw your Rangers a bone tonight, bud, but yeah, you're not going to win too many games when you're going into extras and throwing a really wild pitch with the game on the line. So I don't know what to tell you, bud. I was trying to give your boys throw your guys a bone tonight, but yeah, just kind of a sad ending. I really wanted to see them get out of that jam.
Hey, just so you know, the Rockies are up 13-8.
Yep, I'm sitting here watching it right now. Yeah, 13-8 going on top of the ninth.
Ray, what are your final thoughts?
Well, I'm looking at my Braves, and I'm sitting back and looking at them. They win here and there. They're struggling here and there. The bullpen, is not a top-notch bullpen, but they're starting 5. They're losing some key starting pitching, and they're hitting. Freeman's hitting is lackluster right now. It's not like what Freddie Freeman had last year when he won the MVP, type of season. So I think him still struggling because he didn't have a preseason like he started off with, because he was waiting for his wife to have the baby and stuff like that. So his preseason was cut short. So he's trying to get that preseason out into the regular season there. So he's probably going to take him apart in about another 3 or 4 weeks. Hopefully we'll get back to Freddie Freeman. Once he gets back to Freddie Freeman, then that Atlanta Braves offense will probably be a little bit more potent, and try to get some more, try to trade and get some more starting pitchers and add some more to that bullpen depth. And I think the Braves could be back on the right track. So,
all right. As for me, talking about not my MLB team, but my team, Giants. I want to talk a little bit about that. Now I get why, because I've said this on the ASET Network a few times. I played in a league. It's a league it's a league for people with disabilities. It's called Miracle League Baseball, and that league is very different compared to others. Like, we don't keep track of score. No 3 strikes, you're out. It's not 3 outs to change sides. You change sides after everybody on that rotation, everybody on that team goes through. But because we play in the league with disability, because of the field we play on, we can't play if it's soaked and all that kind of stuff. So I get why. However, it is kind of a bummer that that's in place, because we have had 1 game and we're supposed to play 6 by now.
Wow.
It's rained so much here in Texas that I was supposed to have 6 games in by now. but I've only played one.
Wow.
So this has been Nate, Greg, and Ray signing out, and we'll see you guys on Monday. We'll see you guys on Monday for
Sports Corner.
Sports Corner.